Violated, so frustrated, irritated by the one you thought you loved. It happens all the time. You lie when you look me in the all I wanted was to hear the truth from you, but you never comply. Yet I wonder why I feel so violated, so frustrated, irritated by the one you thought you loved. Got no patience, it won't take it. Irritated by the one you thought you loved. I put all my trust in you, but you threw it all aside. Never have I felt so used by someone like you. How could I be so blind? Yet I wonder why I feel so violated, so frustrated, irritated by the one you thought you loved. Got no patience, it won't take it. Irritated by the one you thought you loved. And now you're gone, so glad you're out of my life. And now that you've gone away, I'm so glad you're out of my mind. That's why I felt violated, so frustrated, irritated by the one you thought you loved. Violated, so frustrated, irritated by the one you thought you loved. Got no patience, it won't take it. Irritated by the one you thought you loved. Every day I wake up tired. Leaving coffee doesn't help. I wanna set my alarm on fire, but I know that it wouldn't end too well. Would somebody please just help me? I can't quite explain what's happening to me.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Ben Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Sunday, it's... What did I say? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages to the What Did I Say show here on the I'm No Joe podcast. This is the Sunday show. This is the recap spot where we go back and hold all the shit talking that we did accountable and give you guys a once over of all the crazy combat that took place over the course of the weekend here. Before we jump into all the fucking insanity that popped off over the course of the weekend. How the fuck you doing over there, buddy?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. I still need to rip my pinky nail off, but barely hanging on there.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Oh, so what did you think of the fights this weekend?
Some were very, very shocking and surprising, and some of them were a disappointment.
Yeah, I think we definitely had some fight of the year candidates, and then some why the fuck did they put that on a pay-per-view candidates this weekend. So before we jump into the 273 shenanigans, BKFC 23 did take place Friday evening out in Wichita, Kansas. Overall, pretty damn good card. Not a great card, not the best card they put on, but pretty damn good overall. What was it? I think it was out of 13 fights, they only had 3 decisions. There were finishes in every fight but 3, so not bad. There was definitely a couple of those where it looked like a dude who's had a couple of boxing lessons was fighting the pizza delivery guy who's going back to getting his Domino's uniform for work after the fight was over. But they're like that fucking Jessica Link versus Crystal Pittman fight. I fucking told you guys, man, that fucking OnlyFans reject bitch was gonna try and go after Link. And Link was just going to be too fucking much. And sure enough, called that one on the money. Shame the Tapology won't let us do picks for BKFC. I emailed them. They have no desire to do that. Too much back end work for it. The fucking Hernandez TKO. Oh my God. 48 second. Like, when the rounds are only 2 minutes to begin with, it definitely speeds up the action. I 100% agree with that. But when you've got a 2-minute round and you drop a dude, what was it, 3 times before that 4th one finally laid him down in less than a minute, you should definitely go back to whatever the fuck it was that you were doing before you started doing bare knuckle, because this is absolutely not the thing for you. I was very surprised that they ruled that one judge rather, called the co-main event a draw. I'm glad the other 2 still got it right and made it the majority decision, but how one dude saw that as a draw, I don't understand. Like, Doolittle was banging on that motherfucker's head every time he opened up. I will say this: the main event went longer than I thought it was going to. 31 seconds into round two. I didn't think it was going to see the end of round one. Richmond was so clearly outclassing fucking Rickles from the opening bell. You could tell that they did not belong in the fucking ring together. And one thing that I didn't even think about until they mentioned it right before the fight started is that Mike Richmond and Dave Rickles at one point were both signed to and fighting for Bellator. But when they both fought for Bellator, Rickles was fighting at 185 and Richmond was fighting at bantamweight. And they met this weekend at 170. And they looked to be damn near the same fucking size. That shit was a little crazy. And then to see just how fucking precise Richmond is with his striking. And I don't understand if Rickles just didn't understand what he was saying, but he acknowledged in the pre-fight talks that, you know, Mike Richmond might be a sniper, but I'm an artillery shell. He might go for that one shot, but I'm going to lay waste to the area. And I'm like, what? No. That's not how that works. Like, you've been watching too many war movies, my friend. Like, this dude's gonna punch you in the fucking eye before you can wind up to throw your big shots. I say with air quotes, like, and he did. Every time Rickles would swing wild, Richmond would literally either just step back, let the punch slide by, or he just wasn't there when Rickles finally got that punch there, and he was countering the shit out of him, and you could tell he was hurt early on. Richmond was just such a fucking accurate striker. It's almost insulting that Rickles thought he had a chance going into there, man. But you know, props for stepping in and doing a damn thing. Like I said, overall, pretty fucking good card for BKFC. That being said, though, last night's UFC 273. Holy shit. Galti and I were talking about it during the card. This is one of those cards that we like to refer to as turned out much better than it had any right to be. It's a pay-per-view card, so we automatically kind of hold it to a little bit higher of a standard anyway, but basically between now and July, essentially, all the pay-per-views are going to be kind of meh, because at this point, the UFC is already putting all of their eggs into the International Fight Week basket. July is when they really try and squeeze every penny out of the UFC fandom. And they're still going to be pay-per-views between now and then, but they're going to be not as fun as July is going to be. The summertime pay-per-view cards are going to be fucking insane. That being said,
From now,
go ahead.
From now to July, they're just going to be a little bit hyped up fight nights.
Yeah, absolutely. They're gonna almost. I'm telling you now, you're gonna see in like the commercial breaks, like the in between fight shit, for every pay-per-view between now and International Fight Week, you're almost going to get more press for International Fight Week than you will for the pay-per-view you'll be watching. That's how I'll put it.
Yeah, you'll get.
This is where they're really going to start gearing up.
You'll get the quick 5 seconds as they come back from commercial break. All right, UFC 270, whatever the fuck. Later on, we have a no name fighting a no name for absolutely fucking nothing.
For top prospect status, I say.
Yeah, we have two. We have a Dana White
dangerous up and comers.
We have a dangerous up and comer from the Contender Series, from an actual MMA fighter from the Tough House of last season. Let's see how this shakes loose.
Yeah. And it's generally not surprising to anyone.
I mean, that's what it's going to be for the next month and a half. That's all it's going to fucking be. It's going to be top 10, top 15s, people that are trying to scrape their fucking way up just to get
Last
to that
minute debuts.
to the top to like top 5 bracket so they can just get an opportunity to fight the number 1 contender.
Yep.
Like that's all it's gonna fucking be for the next month and a half, and a bunch of fucking debuters. That's all it's gonna be, man.
It's not gonna be completely horrendous. They still have a couple of good ones worked in there, but for the most part, we're in filler fight season.
Yeah.
That being said, this card was kind of fucking crazy.
It definitely had its fucking moments.
Now, the first 2 fights right out of the gate were kind of controversial, to say the least. Julio Arce versus Daniel Santos. Santos being one of Charlie Olives' training partners, the lightweight champions training partners. Now, as if taking on one of the lightweight champs training partners wasn't enough pressure, Julio Arce did miss weight by 0.6 of a fucking pound and showed up too late on weigh-in time to be allotted the time to lose the less than a fucking pound he probably could have lost in the walk to the sauna and back, literally. So he ended up forfeiting 20% of his purse. Now, luckily for him, it was only, literally a half a pound. So it wasn't like a physically detrimental amount, a fight-changing amount physically. And he came out and showed that and just absolutely fucking overwhelming Santos from the opening bell to the closing bell. Just fucking turned the knob to 11 and then cranked it up, threw it across the fucking room. I generally try not to praise or heap too much praise rather on fighters that miss weight. In this situation, the fact that it was literally a half a pound and then he came out and just outworked the living shit out of a very highly touted prospect coming in. Galti and I kind of agreed. It doesn't negate the fact that he missed weight, because had he literally showed up 45 minutes earlier, even though he missed by 0.6, they would have given him 2 hours to go lose that weight. And then he could have been on weight. Everything would have been straight. But the way that he did it, the fucking outclassing that he put on Santos definitely kind of tipped the scales back. So it wasn't as much of a factor, I think, is a good way to put that.
So the way I look at the weight thing, I think that's absolute fucking horseshit. It doesn't matter if you're too fucking late. If you have 5 minutes left in the weigh-in fucking clock, you need your 2 hours. Give them fucking 30 minutes if it's a fucking half a pound. I think that's horseshit. Because
I would agree if that was a new rule.
Yeah, but fucking regardless, I think it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
This is one of the very few times to where they've actually enforced that shit. They rarely ever fucking actually enforce that too late to fucking cut weight.
They do generally still give you, even the guys that show up right before fucking closing time.
Give them fucking 10 minutes. Give them 10 minutes. Let them do a fucking quick cardio session, jogging in place for 45 seconds. And he's cut that 0.6.
Yeah, like
that's
could have done push-ups right next to the scale and lost that fucking thing, literally.
That is absolute horseshit of a weight so minute to where he could just go to the bathroom and piss real quick.
Well,
and drop that weight.
To be fair, he also didn't call for the towel either, because we saw Max Holloway in this exact situation. I think he was 0.6 over as well. And Max was like, bring out the fucking towel, baby, because we're going all natural. And I think he dropped 0.7 when he took all his fucking clothes and his chain and shit off. So there's also that option as well that he chose not to even attempt. So
yeah.
I both understand and don't agree with how it played out. But the performance that he brought out after the fact,
I don't remotely give a shit if he was 0.6 over or not. You have a man that's doing this bullshit. straight just walking up and doing this shit, just going for fucking haymakers, no setups, no nothing. I don't give a shit. If you're a highly touted prospect and you're fighting for the fucking UFC and you're fighting like that shit, get the fuck out of here. Go back to PFL with your fuck ass. That's horse shit. You're a fucking UFC fighter and you're not doing any types of setups. You didn't land shit for a minute and a fucking half. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, what they say, it was a minute 42. He went completely unanswered.
His head movement was garbage. He couldn't cut Arce off, and he was just head hunting. He was whiff.
Well, that, and he kept walking into Arce's fucking power. Like, to his credit, Santos looking like shit. I'm sure definitely contributed to some of the fucking recency bias that made Arce seem as good as he did. But several times throughout the fight, with Arce just literally chasing him down with hands loose, not guard, just loose, he would go directly into Arce's power shot, and you would see Julio recognize it in the moment and just lean in and uncork this sloppy fucking haymaker as Santos almost Max Payne style walked right the fuck into it like 3 times.
Santos was translating everything the man was remotely trying to do. Every wide sweeping, unpowerful hook, because you lose all your power the second you break outside of your fucking body, essentially, you lose all your power. He was throwing sloppily. He was translating everything that he was throwing, and he's a UFC fighter. He's a highly touted prospect that fights and trains in the same gym as a fucking champion. Just because of that, you're going to give him a fucking shot?
The champ was in his corner screaming at him.
You're going to
like,
give him...
That was one of the things we chuckled about, TJ and I, during the fight. I think twice during, like, Santos just getting the fucking business handed to him. The camera would cut to Olives in the corner, just literally doing this.
Yeah.
That's full on face palm, real time.
Like, I don't understand some of the shit that gets brought in just because somebody, like we said, 2 weeks ago, just because you're good in the gym doesn't translate.
Gym warriors don't always translate into fucking cage warriors. Pardon the phrase, not the literal organization. And this was a prime example because he had a decent hype trainer on him. And 5 seconds in, that train blew the fuck up. It didn't get derailed. It was bombed. It jumped off the tracks and ran away.
I watched quite literally one round and I stopped.
That's all you needed. That's all you needed to know of that fucking fight, honestly.
It was humiliating.
You could tell Julio Arce was angry about missing weight. He was determined to make up for it or try to in that fight, because there was no point when Arce slowed down at all. That I was kind of surprised that it went to decision, because he was giving everything he had. He was drilling Santos. Credit to Santos' chin, to be fair, because he got fucking nailed a couple times real fucking good and looked like he was about to start wobbling and kept his fucking composure and stayed in it. But yeah,
he's definitely a tough son bitch, because he took his licks but kept on ticking. That's for damn sure. I can't discredit him for that. But the performance that you fucking gave was absolutely fucking humiliating, man.
Yeah, I think this is one of those situations where the UFC's got to give him one more shot because of who he was and the fact that he took this on like 3 weeks notice instead of like a full 6-week camp. Like, it wasn't a short notice fight, I say with air quotes, but it wasn't
a half camp.
Yeah, it wasn't like a full traditional camp either. So the fact that he did debut a little bit shorter than anticipated, and it was the opening fight and all the bells and whistles and the lights and everything, the UFC is going to give him one more shot, I think. But if he fights if Santos fights his next fight the way that he fights this one, you're going to be a fucking 2 and done.
The UFC really needs to stop listening to the people that are in that fight for the UFC. Hey, get my friend in.
Yeah.
Because we have seen time after fucking time I can think of 7 fighters this year that are
Jay
gym.
Fletcher 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Poirier
Gym
was
buddies.
screaming in the corner that this is the guy, this is the future, and then he got worked
Yeah. Fucking
against another soup can. Like, this is happening all the fucking time now, and it shouldn't be.
we really need to like the UFC really just needs to stop it. Like, okay, they are good. Why don't we know about them?
I think the other way to look at this, because I agree, stop signing fighters' friends. Fucking stop it. Or if Dana's this determined to let the fucking roster feed itself, bring back Tough. Not twice a year. Bring it back once a fucking quarter like it used to be. And all these fighters' friends who are gym warriors, I say with air quotes, who are the next thing, the future, the biggest fucking prospect we know of, sign them up for one of 4 Tough House seasons you can run throughout the fucking year. If there's this many of them, shouldn't be a problem to fill a fucking roster of 16, right? And then let them earn their fucking spot. If they can't cut it against the other fucking gym rat buddies, there's no reason for them to get the fucking shot to begin with. But if they make it through, give them the shot that they just earned.
Yeah, it's something has to be done, because I'm tired of seeing, oh, this is my buddy, I'm number 2 in this division, and your friend is fucking garbage.
Well, fuck, look at Carlos Ulberg.
Yeah.
How talk about a fucking disappointing fucking come up. Like, Blackjack has been mentioned in the same breath as Quake since we first saw Izzy in 2016, 2017, what it was, something like that. As soon as he got signed, to his credit, Izzy immediately said, I'm not even the best in my gym. Wait till my boys get on. Rydell has proven that pretty fucking well. Kai Kara France has proven that pretty fucking well. Volkanovski obviously done pretty fucking well. But then you get Carlos Ulberg, who they all have been saying this whole time, wait till Blackjack gets his contract. And then Ulberg shows up in his debut and completely shits the bed, gets fucking laid out in 40 seconds or something by Nchukwi. And then he comes back in his second fight, ready to correct his mistake, I say with air quotes, and got his ass handed to him again. And is now risking getting fucking cut from the UFC from going 0-3. Just because you're somebody's fucking gym buddy doesn't mean that translates into the fucking actual octagon itself when the lights turn on and the cameras are fucking rolling.
Shit. If that's the case, let me fucking talk to Matt Brown. Let me get in the fucking UFC.
Right? No
Jesus
shit.
fuck,
I'm sure
dude.
everybody knows a couple of somebodies who could fucking put something together and be like, I know somebody.
Let me talk to fucking Matt. Fuck me, dude.
No. If Arce can figure out whatever the fuck happened that ended him up so fucking late to the weigh-ins with just that smidgen over and get that shit in check, Arce could legitimately be a good prospect, in my opinion. The IQ that he showed in that fight was more than the weight loss detrimented, I feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can 100% fucking agree with that. And he's rather young to have the IQ that he has.
That's what I'm saying.
I like, ideally he should have a couple more years in the game to have that extensive knowledge to look at your fighter and like, oh, I can do this. If they continue doing what they're doing, and then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna throw my fucking leg kick now. I'm gonna do this right now. It's his performance was absolutely fucking spectacular. He was fucking real loose, real fluid. It was fucking beautiful. He showed up and fucking performed like he traditionally does.
Yep.
That was a damn good one. At least his performance.
Now the issue here is that coming off of that fight, we had the other of the 2 weight misses on the card. Kay Hansen, however, not quite as close as Arce was. Kay Hansen came in with plenty of time to reweigh and just didn't, and came in 3.5 pounds overweight. She came in at 118.5 for a 115 fight. Excuse me. And then did not perform up to what at least I felt like her potential really was. We've seen Kay Hansen show glimpses of fucking potential in that cage. And the last couple times out, it doesn't seem like the same Kay Hansen has been in there. And she, as a submission specialist, almost got submitted, was in serious trouble for a good long while against the girl making her debut again, kind of like the opening fight. But the other way around in this situation, the weight miss was clearly having some type of an effect on Kay Hansen's performance, and Pereira Rodriguez did not give a single fuck about it. She was there to show what she was capable of, and she imposed her fucking will for the vast majority of that fight. Kay Hansen had a couple of good moments here and there. She showed a little bit of good defense in the very tail end of almost getting her ass handed to her on the ground, which is supposed to be her area. But overall, Pereira Rodriguez showed up in her debut and showed a quote unquote UFC veteran that she better take her ass back to the gym and figure out what the fuck she's really doing, because she clearly showed up unfocused and paid for it. Props to Rodriguez for making a damn good debut and making Hansen look like the fool that she was last night.
Yeah, dude, fucking Rodriguez. One, off of somebody facing somebody that's so highly respected as Hansen, being more of a ground practitioner, somebody that is not known for their knockout power. She has some fucking talent, and them legs are quick. Her fucking butterflies to get up and over, those were fucking nice, man. Her IQ on with her back on the mat to consistently just roll out of fucking danger, or in several cases fucking butterfly kick up out of fucking danger.
That's what I was just going to say. It wasn't so much the butterfly kicks. It was when she, I think twice or three times maybe, used the butterfly kick straight up to shift the entire position of both her and Kay Hansen to put the both of them where she wanted them to be, to get her out of a bad spot and put herself in control as she came back down. Like, I was legitimately sitting here with my jaw in my fucking lap going, she's doing this to the submission specialist. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so that was very fucking beautiful. Yeah. And if you're able to do something like that against somebody who is known for their ground game ability, I really would like to see what she does to somebody that isn't known that well,
right,
for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or their wrestling prowess.
Where she's clearly got the edge going in. Yeah.
Because those butterflies, whenever she got dropped and Kay went to just fall on top of her, butterflied up to stand back up, absolutely beautiful. Fucking textbook butterfly kick out. Textbook. If she can do that, but fucking up over and then fucking transition the fucking weight of her legs to roll over on top of somebody that's not that known for their ground game, dude, you're like that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what Rodriguez has in store, because making a debut like that, like we talked about just a minute ago, you rarely get to see the genuine best from someone, especially on a pay-per-view card where you literally, like last night, that was one thing I will give credit to. The fucking Florida crowd, they made a point to show that fucking ViStar Arena was full from fucking floor to ceiling before the first fight even started. That bitch was packed to the fucking rafters before Bruce Buffer ever opened his goddamn mouth last night. That was fucking impressive to see. That was nice.
Oh, also,
and she still came out and put on a fucking performance like that.
Also, I do have to give credit for 15 seconds of what happened with Rodriguez going in, grabbing the single leg, take her down to Hansen fucking last ditch effort grab the arm for the Kimura to the back roll to get back control. That's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu's wet dream.
Hanson didn't roll over for damn sure. She didn't fucking give up.
That the fight IQ and just ring awareness that she had to be able to get taken down single leg, rolling to the left as she's going down, landing flat on her ass instead of straight back, and grab the arm for fucking Kimura. That is chef's kiss. That's beautiful IQ right there. That is a damn good ring awareness to where you are in the fight IQ and just body movement and positioning as you're fucking falling. That is beautiful. But the Kimura grab to the back rollout to back control, holy shit. That is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner's wet dream and a half. That was very fucking impressive, because you don't see Kimura rollouts like that very often, and even like submission underground, you don't see that very often, and that's those motherfuckers bread and butter. But let alone in MMA itself, you rarely see Kimura back rolls.
Well, and even less as a defensive move. 90% of the time, if you see that, it's an offensive attack to try and get them to focus on what you're going after rather than the arm you already have.
Yeah.
It's almost a distractionary move. You're trying to get them to focus on the ankle that you're going to pick, or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever you're reaching for, and not the arm you already have set up. So when they move, you just fucking lock and go and it's over.
Yeah.
She as a defensive maneuver to fucking get out of a position.
that was on both ends. That was a beautiful 15 seconds. I replayed, I don't know how many fucking times, because that was nice on both ends of it. That was a nice little ground game give and take right there. That was nice. I got to nod my hat as somebody who has been heavily invested over the last couple of years in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and ground game. I have to fucking tip my hat to that, because that was beautiful.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because that brings us into one of the most highly celebrated recent accomplishments in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in recent memory. One of, what did they say? One of 4 in the UFC history, scarf hold submissions put in place by the one and only dad body constrictor himself to earn his fucking 60th professional victory. 6-0. This man has more professional wins now than most people have professional fights, period, than most people have in their entire career, period, pro and amateur combined. Oleinik now has that many wins as a professional. I thought it was neat that they made a point to mention that Oleksiy Oleinik became a professional mixed martial artist before both Piera Rodriguez and Kay Hansen, the ladies that fought just before him, were either alive. He has been a professional fighter longer than either of the ladies that fought before him were on this planet. Not only was it a fucking brilliant display by one of the most dangerous old men in the fucking UFC, a great fucking moment as an individual fighter, but a beautiful moment for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the way that he implemented that scarf hold so fucking perfectly that the moment he let go of Jared ran to the side and puked in a bucket in the octagon for a solid 30 seconds, and even John Anik made mention of it. It was such a smooth, unexpected, and sufficient fucking maneuver that once the fight was over, the cameras backstage caught it. As soon as both Oleinik and Vandera got backstage, Jared Vandera went up and asked Oleinik, how the fuck did you do that? And literally had him teach him right then and there how he applied that scarf choke. That is one of the reasons that I love mixed martial arts so fucking much, is because this dude just got choked the fuck out. And the first thing that ran through his mind after he got done puking in a bucket was, I gotta find out how the fuck he did that. And being the fucking great sportsman that he is, when he asked Olenek, there was not a second's hesitation. He immediately showed him back on him again, and then had Jared put the maneuver on one of his friends backstage and helped him literally synchronize the maneuver and show him how to do it himself, until Jared went, oh, and you saw him get it. And he was like, I'm gonna fucking use that. Yeah, Jared got that move put on him and then immediately added it to his arsenal because he recognized how fucking useful and how clever that move was. But that kind of fucking respect is the one of the main reasons I fucking love MMA so goddamn much.
Yeah, scarf holds, those are very sneaky, but those are one of the hardest motherfuckers to lock in right.
Especially with arms the size of that motherfucker's tree trunks.
Oh, yeah.
That dude's biceps and forearms are the size of most people's fucking thighs.
Yeah.
Olenek has calves for fucking biceps and forearms, man. That dude's yoked in the upstairs for sure.
That is definitely one of the more difficult chokes to lock in. First off, I do have to give solid fucking credit. While they were on the feet, Vanderha's fucking his hands, they were fucking
mailboxes, dude.
They were landing, and they were landing rather often.
Yes.
To where I had a second of hesitation whenever he landed his second left cross.
Yes.
And you saw Alexei Olenek just stumble back like, oh shit.
Yeah, he went on fucking butter legs for a second for sure. I literally out loud went, uh-oh.
Yeah, it was just for a second. They landed, they stung him, they shook him up a little bit. That's for damn sure. But I fully think that Alexei on his feet is just a hack and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody can train for how he stands, his movement, and the way he punches. Because if you watch that fight, he throws very, very unorthodox. Like they said, kind of like somebody is throwing a baseball.
Yes.
He doesn't throw straight. He throws like this, to where it's almost over.
He almost reminds me of a heavyweight Keith Jardine.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Awkward move, you know what I mean? The way the awkward movements come, the punches are almost always thrown more like a baseball than a punch.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. His stand-up is just so unusual. But my favorite thing is nobody like picks it up whenever they're fighting him. But after they watch back a fight that they had with Alexei Olenek, he'll go in, punch, and real quick drop his hand down to like brace himself. Like, if this lands, it's gonna hurt him. They're gonna stumble, and I can just go in for a single leg and just yank him down real quick.
The momentum going. Yep.
He does it every time that it looks like it lands and it's gonna line up and it's gonna hurt him. He always drops that hand real quick, just so he has that extra second to where he can just wrap his fucking bare paw hands around somebody's kneecap and just pull him out. It's very unusual, but I love that shit because it's just weird.
And you also got to think, for a 250-pound dude at 43 years old.
44 now.
44 now. That's
44
right.
now.
44 now. That's right. 44 years old. When you're in the cage with that dude, the second you touch the ground, he becomes a tarp. That dude goes from a 6-foot-something standing man to a 10 by 10 square and just fucking envelops you to the canvas. the ability of that dude to sprawl so quickly and thoroughly against anyone breaks my brain watching him do it.
I mean, shit. The was it his second attempt where Vanderwall popped back up and he had one leg tucked in tucked in his armpit. The other ones were his legs were wrapped around the other one where he couldn't move, and he just sweeps them to put them back down. My favorite thing is that man might be 44. Whenever he walks and is striking, you can tell he's got age. But the second his hands and his knees are on the mat, he moves like a fucking 18-year-old. He's so quick, so agile, so spry, and just youthful, quick movements. That is a beautiful thing to see, because you don't see a lot of older people in their upper 30s or into their 40s that can move that fucking quick.
Fuck no.
Being down like that. His movement whenever he's down is scary quick. That is one thing about Olenek that is I can't fucking say anything more. Whenever he walks like a 44-year-old. The second he sprawls, he is 18 years old.
Yeah, instantly.
He is quick as fuck.
Yeah, props to the dad body constrictor for sure.
Oh, fucking 100%.
That motherfucker, there ain't no quitting that old man for fucking sure. And that'll bring us into our prelim card. I have got to say, I know that Golf T is going to be sad that he missed an opportunity on Thursday and tonight as well to talk shit on Mickey Gall as much as he doesn't like him. Mike Malott came out and gave everyone who didn't already have a reason to jump on the fucking Mike Malott train. Not only did he come out and just show fucking beautiful, crisp boxing fundamentals and folded Mickey Gall like a fucking lawn chair, literally 1-2. And when the 2 landed, Mickey dropped in place, cleanly fucking shut Mickey off. But then gets his moment in the octagon, gets his moment on the microphone, takes the moment on the microphone to call out that his coach's 15-year-old daughter has been diagnosed with cancer, and they've got a GoFundMe set up because it's really hurting him. And he's taking his 10 grand show money and he's donating it. And he hopes that everybody else that's watching will go to the link in his bio and go to that GoFundMe and give just a little bit. Then in the post-fight press conference, Dana White says he's not going to let Mike give his 10 grand. Instead, the UFC is going to give what would have been his show and his fucking win money. The UFC is going to give 20 grand on his behalf. So double fucking props. He came out, looked like a fucking boss in the fight, and then used his fucking moment to give a genuine fucking good cause to shine, and ended up getting way more than he fucking anticipated. Last I looked, I believe the GoFundMe was set to go to 50 grand, and it was at like 73 grand or something like that. Like, they've already gone above and beyond. As soon as word got out, that shit was handled, man. That little girl has got fucking assistance now. Like, that family has some help.
That really is very quickly becoming one of my favorite beautiful moments of my week, because him, Bryce Mitchell, and years past others have done it 100%. Whenever somebody like they know personally or a cause that they are invested in is in trouble, they always do their quick 10-second shout out. But that is so beautiful in the heat of victory, of endorphins dumping in your brain. You have the wherewithal to say that just quick 15 seconds.
Yep.
And just to show that love for the people that are in your corner, the people of your town, the people of your state, even in Bryce Mitchell's case, the people that you're close with, is absolutely beautiful. And and even more again, Dana doing this again for a good cause is just another thing that I think is beautiful, because I think in his old age, Dana's becoming more of a charity case softy. That which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at
not
that
in the least bit. That's one thing I
at
will
all.
never shit on Dana White for. I'm very, very happy to see him adopting this new trend of when the fighters call out something like that, he says, no, keep your fucking money. We will donate that and more on your behalf.
Yeah, that's just fucking beautiful, because it's just great to see, because like everybody knows early on the last, I'll say 10 years of the UFC, Dana White is a no nonsense, I don't give a fuck attitude. But over the last couple of years, really, I'll say since the pandemic, he's become,
So the last 2 or 3 years specifically. Yeah.
he's really become more understanding, wanting to help more people. And I just think that's fucking beautiful, especially the people that are saying like, hey, I want to make this public, I want to make this known, if anybody can help, I'd really appreciate it, even if it's $2, it's going to a good cause, that sort of thing. I just think it's beautiful on both ends of it. The wherewithal for 15 seconds just to say those quick things, that's going to mean the world to that family and to that man's daughter. And then Dana doing what he did again is just, it's just fucking beautiful.
Well, and then the silver lining to things like this happening that doesn't ever really get mentioned, that I'm going to make a point to mention, is not many people think about it, both in this case and in the Bryce Mitchell case, without directly coming out and making it the focal point. In both of these situations, these gentlemen on the down low publicly acknowledged what they were making.
Yeah.
Bryce Mitchell said that he was going to give his whole fucking show money and what it was. And then Mike Malott last night said that he was giving his entire $10,000 show money. So without making it the focal point, both of these gentlemen publicly said exactly what they're making, because that means Malott fought last night for 10 and 10.
Yeah.
And we know for a fact Contender Series fighters go for 15 and 15. So he fought for less money than fucking Soup Can Series fighters fought for, and was still going to fucking give half of it to a fucking charity. So my hat is absolutely off to that fucking man, and I cannot fucking wait to see what that gentleman does next.
Yeah. Now, the fight itself, Mike Malott absolutely showed up and showed the fuck out.
Fuck yes.
One thing I will say positive about Mickey, he was much more, how would you say, not stupid.
Yeah.
He was very restrained.
His movements were much more intentional.
Yeah. It seemed like he's started to give a shit. And the boys down there in Sanford, I think that this really is going to be beneficial for him. Just regardless of him losing this, he looked better losing than he has ever winning.
I completely agree with that. I 100% agree with that.
He was much more loose, much more fluid. His movements were not so erratic. They were much more fluid, going where he could go, or making a way to where he can go, which is what he really needs to do. And he was much more restrained with his hands. He wasn't so wild. He was picking his shots. He was very precise, very dialed in. And I think that if he continues with Sanford, I think that this could be the most beneficial thing that he's ever done with his career.
I agree 100%.
I do have to give him that credit, because he looked better last night than he ever has fucking before.
I agree. I think Henry Hooft and Jason Jackson have finally started, whatever the fuck they're doing, have finally started to get in his fucking ear, and it's starting to take hold. You could definitely see a difference even in him losing last night, like you said, than we've seen in his victories before, and in a positive sense. So I agree completely. I think if he stays at Sanford, I think they can absolutely make some positive benefits in his game.
I mean, I absolutely fucking hope so for his career sake, being in the UFC. I 100% hope so, and I have fucking firm belief that Hoof and Jackson have that capability to change his fucking career, because just the fucking almost 4 minutes last night was completely different than we've ever seen him fight professionally before. And I really hope that he can get his shit together and continue on with it, being in the UFC, take one more fight and show his progression over this fight and his next fight than he has in the years that he's been in the UFC. And that'll just furthermore stamp how fucking badass Stanford MMA is.
I agree. And that's what I was going to say is, if anybody can get you back on track in the States, it's one of two places. It's either down in fucking Deerfield Beach at Sanford, or it's up in Kansas City at fucking Glory under James Krause.
Yeah.
And he clearly had no interest in going to Kansas City. So Hooft is just as fucking good, in my opinion, between Hooft and Jason Jackson, who is quickly becoming my other favorite fucking fighter / coach, the James Krause of Florida, if you will, the fucking fighter who also steps in the damn cage and does the damn thing. I think those boys will be able to get him in shape. So it would definitely be interesting to see what happens between both of those guys going forward. Not a ton really to talk about in the next fight here. Aspen Ladd versus Raquel Pennington. Two real points about that fight that stood out. One, Raquel Pennington just fucking outworked Aspen Ladd from the opening bell to the closing. Every fucking where that fight went, every second that fight happened, Raquel was 2-1ing the effort that Ladd was putting in, start to finish. But the other thing that struck me as a little odd, and the commentators even made mention of it a couple times during the fight, Aspen Ladd, for some reason, spent that entire fight southpaw. She never went back to conventional, and she's a conventional stance fighter. I don't know if she's trying to train herself to fight southpaw specifically so that she's a little more fluid in the transition, which is a great technique to have, but going against someone like Raquel Pennington and not being able to use what your strong suits are is an automatic disadvantage that is going to set you in a real bad spot. And it was perfectly fucking displayed last night. Raquel Pennington came out looking as good as she ever fucking had, crisp as can fucking be, great fucking movement, not an ounce of fucking quit in her. And the fact that Ladd stayed southpaw the whole time did not give Raquel Pennington one iota of fucking problem. So why Ladd didn't switch back when she realized real quick that technique or that strategy was not going to work, I don't know. I will say, Aspen Ladd's corner did not scream at her this time like they did last time, so much that they end up on the fucking news on ESPN. But I also feel like she kind of fought worse this time than the last two times we've seen her corner fucking scream at her in between rounds when she fights like shit. Clearly Aspen now needs a little what the fuck is wrong with you in between rounds, and that's okay. But whatever the fuck the technique of staying southpaw when you're a conventional fighter and the southpaw isn't working, I don't understand that. And her corner never made a fucking mention or a suggestion to switch back or to try something conventional. They were right there with it. So it was a little fucking confusing to me, really.
My big thing is you are fighting. It doesn't matter who the woman is. You are fighting somebody who has fought title holders, title challengers, dominant title challengers, and you're going to do something different in the cage. Number one, you're fucking dumb. Two, that's something you train. You don't do that in the cage while you're fighting them, because this is something different for you. This is something new. This is something that you train. This is something that you don't do in the fight. Let me just make that very clear. It doesn't matter if it's Raquel Pennington. It doesn't matter who the fuck it is. That you have to be in there on your game, being comfortable, being fluid, not doing this shit all the fucking time. Fucking hand movement like a motherfucker, not moving your head though. Head center line the entire fight. She moved her head a handful of times, maybe 6 if you're lucky. That was again, that was another very fucking embarrassing fight because she did shit.
Yeah.
That was opportunity for Raquel Pennington to show up and show the fuck out and just style on her because
yeah, no, that was bad.
That was another just absolute fucking humiliation. You don't, if you want to be able to switch stance orthodox to southpaw, you train that shit. You don't do that shit in a fight, and you don't bring that to a fight until you are very confident and your abilities are closely matched on both ends. Your foot movement, hand movement, your head movement, because both of those are very fucking different. Going from orthodox to southpaw, both of those are very different styles of head movement, just because the way that you're walking, your body's position, the way that you're swinging, everything's fucking different there. So that's shit that you train and train and train and train, and then once you finally have it down to a T, that's when you bring it to a fight. You don't bring it to a fight because you want to fucking train it.
It was bad.
Very bad. Very.
Now, on the other side of that, a positive surprise, I will say, came out of the fight after that. I will say, I did make a point to mention Thursday, despite Josh Frem getting his UFC contract from the Dana White looking for a fight, he was a late last minute replacement. And I pretty much said Thursday he was essentially a spot filler for Fluffy to go in there and style on. What we did not realize is that Anthony Hernandez has legitimately been undeniably working on both his cardio and his submission game. He looked better last night just in general in what he was doing alone than I think any fight we've seen him in the last 3 years easily. Frem did not show up and lay down and roll over by any stretch of the imagination. He came in there and he was giving it a good what for. He was looking legitimately decent, but Hernandez looked spectacular. He was faster. He was more crisp. He was more precise. His in-fight IQ was clearly fucking growing. He was able to read movements in real time. I was legitimately more impressed by Hernandez last night than anything I have ever seen him do up until last night. And Frem didn't look terrible, but Hernandez just had control of that shit for the entirety of that goddamn fight. Impressively so, in my opinion.
The most impressive thing for me was his fucking pace.
Dude.
Hernandez's pace.
He was on it, man. That motherfucker would not slow down for nothing.
He was on the gas pedal and he did not let the fuck up.
Yeah, there was no wearing out at all. He didn't fade a bit in 15 solid fucking minutes. Absolutely. I mean,
that being said, as Rogan said, it is much harder to gas out while you're on top of somebody than it is the other way around. But with everything that's happening is exhausting on its own, mentally and physically. But his pace was ridiculous. Just constant on the gas, standing up, just swinging it out, see an opportunity, take him down, get on his back, go for a Darce choke, which Hernandez hips back. Hips back. You gotta like pretty much put your body in a fucking seat. You
I
got
was gonna say, lean into a Darce, out for a guillotine.
yeah, lean upper body into it, but you want to pretty much be in a seat to where your hips are sitting down, the hips away. Because he tried that like 3 times, but he was pushing his hips in every time. It was frustrating. But it like his pace, and he was bringing it heavy. And even when Fremd flipped it on him, he got on top. That didn't slow him down one bit.
Didn't deter him at all.
He composed himself, fought very, very intelligently, got back into control, and just kept on fucking trucking. That was an absolutely beautiful fight from him. And even being a short notice, as you just said, Fremd, he looked pretty fucking good. From coming from looking for a fight or the Contender Series, those people are known to shit the bed, as we all 3 of us have said multiple times over. Those guys shit the bed quite fucking frequently. But his performance, he looked good. He was crisp, moved quickly. His overall IQ and ring awareness was pretty fucking good for being still a little bit wet behind the ears in MMA. I want to keep an eye on Fremd, because that performance with somebody like Hernandez and how heavy Hernandez was pushing the pace, he still looked fucking good. I don't think he lost anything losing it. I think he gained a little bit, because that was a hell of a fucking pace. But he didn't give up. He kept trying to fucking work things out, trying to figure everything out. And that was a hell of a performance from both those men. That was a damn good performance.
I agree. Ironically enough, I would say it was probably a better performance than the quote unquote premier prelim fight that came out after them. I will say, Ian Gary definitely showed that he has what it takes to go to a decision, to take it a full 15 if that's what it comes down to. And he held his own against a guy who was trying to absolutely wrestle the shit out of him, held his own fairly well. That being said, I don't feel like his performance was as exemplary as he tried to make people think it was going to be. It definitely showed that he still needs to work on his cardio a little bit. He still has some holes in his ground game for sure. But Ian Gary is definitely still a very, very, very much a top prospect, in my opinion. It basically just showed that he might have been a big fish in that small pond, but homeboy, you're in the ocean now. And it don't make a fucking difference what you were, where you were, because you ain't there no more. Now you're in the ocean. And if you want to be a big fish, you better work out.
Yeah,
that being said, I still think he's got potential. I think if he gets his shit together and he keeps his nose to the grindstone, he can be okay. But that was not nearly as blowing out of the water of a performance as he tried to make people think it was going to be.
That really was a massive fucking disappointment. That one was fucking bad. Like it's not even his, like the hype train behind him, because his hype train was rather big. It was him hyping himself up and talking about all of his skills and technical abilities and everything. He didn't show fucking any of it. He didn't show a damn thing that he talked about. I mean, his hands are quick. He has good movement, good head movement. That's about all you can fucking say, because that's all you fucking saw. He looked very timid the entire fight until he got up close and in the phone booth for 7 seconds, and then teed off 4 times, and then at distance, and they're just circling each other, going around the cage over and over and over. It was definitely a letdown. That was, as Meter would say, the moment you should have gone to grab a wobble pop.
Yep.
Because you could have missed You could have saw the first minute, and then you could have saw the 13th minute, and you didn't miss a goddamn thing. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, pretty much. I will say though, the opening fight of the main card itself, Pichel versus Madsen, was pretty much what we thought it was going to be, with the exception of the fact that I just kind of assumed Mark Madsen, being literally named the Olympian for being an Olympic wrestler, was going to spend the entire fight defending takedown attempts from Pichel and then shooting takedowns on Pichel for him to weasel out of and then try and go back and forth. Instead, Vince Pichel landed the first ever professional MMA takedown on Mark the Olympian Madsen fairly early on in the fucking fight, and it was a lot more one-sided early on in Pichel's favor than I think anybody thought it was going to be. Madsen absolutely dominated once he got his feet underneath him, so to speak, but Vince Pichel came out a lot tougher than I think anybody anticipated him being in that fight, and handed Madsen his first professional MMA takedown that I think kind of shocked everyone paying attention to the fight itself. Again, not the most exciting fight like we thought it was going to be, but that made a fucking significant impact in that fight. That solid ass takedown that Pichel landed on.
Yeah. One, for being in the Olympic wrestler, you couldn't remotely fucking stop that takedown. Like, I don't know what the fuck you were doing. I don't know if your head was off in La La Land thinking about what you're going to do whenever you put this guy to sleep with your world-class boxing skills whenever you are a Olympic wrestler. I don't know what the fuck you were what that thought process is. I hate with a fiery passion fights like this, to where they're both just one thing, unless they are both boxers and you know it's going to be a stand up, drag out, fucking fighting in a phone booth for 15 minutes or until somebody gets knocked the fuck out. Those are the only fights that I want to see the same, like, real fight style put together. If they're both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, you're going to see one takedown a piece. That's it. If they're both wrestlers, you're going to see one takedown a piece. It's happens over and over and over again. I think it's fucking boring, because that was after Madsen got back into control. That was another rather boring fight. My only thing is, hey, Mark Madsen, don't become Henry Cejudo talking about my Olympic gold medal all the time, because you were very quickly becoming Henry fucking Cejudo.
Did you know Mark Madsen had a gold medal?
The Olympic wrestler, dude. It's becoming deja fucking vu, because it is exactly the same shit. Like, he was talking and mentioned he was an Olympic wrestler. We know you're an Olympic wrestler. Your nickname's the Olympian. Whenever you go to your fighter profile, your picture is you in a Olympic wrestling fucking leotard, dude. We get it. Whenever you Google your name, it comes up MMA Olympic wrestling. Like, we understand, man. Same for you, Henry Cejudo, because apparently you're getting back in the USADA testing pool. Fuck you. And your Olympic wrestling, bitch.
Yeah, I'll believe that when I fucking see it. He's been saying that for 2 fucking years now, so.
Yeah, but the same thing goes for both of them. Nobody gives a shit if you're a fucking Olympic wrestler. You're an MMA fighter. You have wrestling skills.
You ain't in
Run
the
with
Olympics anymore, so it don't fucking matter what you used to do.
I'm just fucking tired of it, man.
It's annoying. Speaking of annoying, though, old 21 accent Mackenzie Dern herself got herself a little bit of the Vegas treatment, as it were, in Florida against Tisha Torres. I think the vast majority of the people who watched the fight agreed that Tisha Torres absolutely outworked Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern made it a tough fight. She absolutely tried to impose her fucking will, but I think most people who watched it will agree that Tisha Torres did more, was more active, was more successful in what she was doing, and controlled more of the fight overall. That being said, the second the fight went to the decision and they started reading the decisions, and they read, one judge gives it to Torres, one judge gives it to Dern. And then I swear to God, the moment Bruce Buffer said, and Judge Chris Lee, I literally threw my hands up in the air and walked away from the fucking TV because I already knew how it was going to fucking go. Because Chris Lee is one of the three that we specifically fucking mentioned that you can find in any fucking list of incompetent judges that anyone has ever put together for the UFC. He is quite literally one of the few that you can almost always count on. If it's a decision that means something, he's gonna fuck it up. This was exactly one of those. This, like we kind of mentioned and was confirmed by most of the UFC press going into this, had Tisha won this fight, she would have been next in line for the title shot. Even if Mackenzie Dern won that fight, she still had to get at least 2 more good victories to even be in the conversation for a title fight. Tisha clearly won that fight, in my opinion. And the second that Bruce Buffer said the words, Judge Chris Lee scores, I already knew that Tisha was going to get fucked. And sure enough, split decision in favor of Mackenzie fucking Dern.
Yeah, as we said before, there needs to be better vetting. Because fuck me.
It's so aggravating, man. That being said,
one thing I would like to make just a quick mention is how many straight knee kicks did Tisha Torres land? Because fuck me.
it had to have been north of 30 easily.
That was easily.
And they were snappy too.
That was easily her deadliest fucking weapon. Because every time she popped it, heel just above the kneecap, that leg went out and you could see the face of fuck me on Mackenzie Dern's face.
Yep.
And let's not forget, what was it, like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, that small, petite, little, and her own nickname, Tisha Tiny Tornado Torres, Tiny, held somebody up with just her legs that's like double her fucking size. I just got to give those are some strong ass fucking legs.
Almost 2 solid minutes of wearing that fucking goofy gal for a backpack. No fucking strain or fucking, problems indicated whatsoever.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I know Torres is a strong gal, but fuck me.
That was a fucking a very dominant fucking display in that moment. I agree.
Yeah, and that's just one of the 2 judging fuck ups on the card. So I mean,
right.
I'm actually while we're continuing, I'm going to find. I'm googling it right now. The worst UFC judges in UFC history. Cecil Peoples so far is on every one I've looked at, because he's pretty shit too.
But that'll bring us to the People's co-main event of the evening. I think the best way I could describe this is this was probably the most educational fight we had on the entire card, in that we learned more in this 15 minutes than we did the other 6 hours of this UFC event, in my opinion. We have seen Khamzat Chimaev against strikers. We have seen him against wrestlers. We have not seen him against anyone as well-rounded and dangerous everywhere as Gilbert Burns before. Khamzat Chimaev going into last night had 4 fights in 2 different weight classes that combined took up less than 2 rounds of total time. And then last night, he went the full hard 15 with Gilbert Burns in what I am telling you right fucking now is easily fight of the year candidate. That has been decreed by multiple different journalists who were there to see it personally as one of the craziest fights the UFC has ever put on, period. Any weight class, any event, any year, that is up in the fucking top of the tops as insanity in a fucking cage that if you somehow missed, go watch. That is 15 minutes of your fucking time well worth investing. I'm telling you right now, Gilbert Burns gave every fucking thing he had for every second of that fight, and it was not enough to slow down Khamzat Chimaev at all. And Gilbert landed some big fucking shots. There's a series of fucking snaps from the end of the second round where Gilbert Burns winds completely up, lets every fucking thing he has go, and lands clean and flush right on Khamzat's fucking chin. And you see Khamzat's fucking face and whole neck spin sideways like a fucking movie and come right back, and it didn't fucking phase him in the least. One of the cleanest shots Gilbert has landed on anybody in a long time, and Khamzat walked right the fuck through it like it didn't fucking happen. Dana didn't want to confirm it because he always plays that we don't match make on fight night bullshit card, but there's really only one thing that can happen going forward from here, in my opinion, because that, even though Gilbert was number 2 going into this, that performance was not enough to secure the next title fight, in my opinion. On the other hand, there is one person in the division who has no fight booked right now, who's the only other quote unquote contender for the title of anyone that could really be mentioned. And assuming he's not too tied up testifying in court proceedings coming forward, I think the next thing we're going to see, possibly even for International Fight Week getting announced, is going to be Khamzat Chimaev versus Colby Covington. And that's going to secure the title shot for Khamzat, not so much for Colby because he's already fucking had 2 and lost them both. But I think Khamzat versus Colby is next. And I think if he comes through and beats the shit out of Colby like I think he will, that's going to get him that title shot.
Yeah, my only thing is I don't want to see him fight Colby. Like Dana said it that night. I see Khamzat and Covington. I think that's a dumb fucking call because it's just dumb. Khamzat has blown through everybody except Gilbert fucking Burns officially. He took 3 times more punches in one fight than his entire career so far in the UFC.
Yeah.
That first off is fucking ridiculous. I just, if they set the fight up, that's cool. I would much rather just see Khamzat Usman because Covington wins, and then what? He's just gonna fight fucking Usman again,
and he's got to fight Gilbert.
But like it's just the back and forth dumb shit that we talked about 3 weeks ago. It's nonsense.
Yeah, they really tied welterweight in a fucking knot. They really did.
It's fucking nonsense. I hate with a fiery passion of 1,000 suns. And I hate the Suns. I'm a fucking ginger for crying out loud. I hate that they're gonna make Kamzat fight Colby Covington. Like I understand it. He's the number one contender. To get to the belt, you have to go through him. I completely understand that. But man, you're just tying up the entire fucking division on the top 15 that are wanting to try to come up, because Covington's not going to lose to anybody. He most likely will lose to fucking Kamzat. But it's just nonsense. I fucking hate that it's always up to Covington. It's always the Covington fight.
Unfortunately, yeah.
It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Hopefully, if they book this fight, Kamzat can knock him out. And then it's just going to be the same thing over again with Usman. If he loses his title, it's going to be the same exact thing. Usman's going to be the number one contender. Then he's going to have 19 people over the next 3 years fight him.
Have to fight him to get through, yeah.
And it's just going to be the same exact fucking thing. It's ridiculous.
I agree.
But
now, before we get to our co and main here, I do want to take just a moment here to remind folks, if you haven't yet, first and foremost, Tapology is not affiliated with and does not endorse in any way, shape, or form the I'm No Joe podcast. However, we do take advantage of one of the services that Tapology.com offers, in that you can create a free account and then make picks on upcoming MMA events. We have created a group on Tapology called I'm No Bookie, all one word, or Group 965, however you search it. It is open to the public. You are all more than welcome to join and make your picks and compete head to head with us. Tapology keeps track of all the stats in real time for you. All the picks, you can pick method of win, you can pick round of win, you can pick contenders, you can pick all the good stuff. All of us here on the show do have accounts over there, finally. And we do have our picks that I am going to show before we go through our main and co-main events here. A little bit of an interesting spread across the board here. Golf T did the best overall, picking 10 out of the 12 fights correctly. RJ got next with 9 out of the 12 fights correctly, and I brought up the rear with 7 of the 12 fights picked correctly. Points wise, the way that they do it based on how you picked, Golf T got the most points. RJ was just behind him, 25 points, I think, behind him. And then I was 15 points behind RJ on that one. In doing so, I'm gonna pull this back up here so I can look at it again. If you look at the picks, despite what I might say on the show, it might not be the same way as what I've picked on the card. And I'm going to try and make a point to fix that here, because I've been picking the way that I think it might go on the cards, but picking the way that I would like it to go, that I would prefer it to go on the show. I'm going to switch that around, because the last couple of cards have really hurt my fucking accuracy on the Tapology numbers, despite me calling it right on the fucking show. So I'm going to switch that around, and I'm going to start going with the way that I actually think things are going to go for the cards, and start thinking about how I want things to go on the show here, because as we mentioned, I had a feeling that Chang Sung Jung had a damn good chance, and that Piotr Jan was just going to walk right through, and picked accordingly. And ironically enough, this is another one of those ridiculous decisions, but it did result in one of the craziest upsets of the evening. Aljamain Sterling, due to split decision, managed to retain the belt, defeating Piotr Jan. to his credit, in rounds 2 and 3, Aljamain Sterling absolutely out wrestled Piotr Yan like he has never been in a fucking wrestling match before. It was a little disheartening as a Piotr Yan fan. He did do some good hand fighting to keep himself from getting choked out, but he was basically content to have his fucking back ridden for 10 straight minutes. And that automatically puts you behind the fucking 8 ball in a 3-round fight. If you spend 2 of them getting your back ridden and fighting off submission attempts, that automatically makes it tough to win. That being said, though, pretty much every moment that fight was on the feet was Piotr Jan's domination. But when you give away 2 rounds like that, and you already know you've got fucked up judges in charge of the fucking fight, if you let it go that far, you can probably guess how it's going to go once you get there. And sure enough, Aljamain Sterling's 2 rounds of wrestling was enough to get him 2 of the judges to agree that he got the nod and keeps the belt. Unfortunately,
Yeah, I 100% agree with just the simple fact of having Dana White say in the post-fight press conferences, he had that going the other way, that this is going to be a run back for a run back.
most likely.
Jan might have one more fight just to definitively say, hey, I belong here.
I was just going to say, they tried to set up the Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw fight in the moment, and even Aljo jumped on that train. But I have a sneaky suspicion, like you said, based on how even Dana said in the post fight that he had it going the other way than the judges did, that they're probably going to try and find a way to make TJ Dillashaw versus Piotr Yan for Yan to get his fucking rematch back and then do the run back. Because I have very little doubt in my mind that Piotr will beat the dog shit out of TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah, I 100% think that they're going to just run it back and have him fight one time, and then he gets his run back, because that was one round was up in the air. You can take it back and forth, but the way they judged were absolutely fucking garbage, and there was more than just one shit judge call.
Absolutely. So bantamweight's fucked, maybe more so than welterweight right now, but we'll see how that shakes loose going forward. But that'll bring us to the main event of the evening, the title card, the marquee name on the banner, Volkanovski versus TKZ Chang Sung Jung. I think the best way I can describe this fight is that Alexander Volkanovski just Brian Ortega, the Korean Zombie. I genuinely do not understand why his corner sent him out for round 4. Herb Dean and the doctor were both looking at Chang Sung Jung in his corner after round 3, where he missed the stool and planted his back against the cage and slid down to the canvas. And instead of sitting on the stool in between rounds, he was still so out of it. There's never in the history of his career been a doubt that Chang Sung Jung is one of the toughest motherfuckers on this planet. They don't call him the Korean Zombie for no reason. That dude will walk through everything you hit him with, and he did. But god damn, Volkanovski fucking teed off on him over and over and over, and he just could not get out of the fucking way, and he could not stop the shots, and Volk just fucking waylaid on his goddamn face. It was genuinely a little aggravating that his corner would even send him out for round 4, to the extent that Volkanovski looked at him across the cage before Herb Dean started the round and went, "You okay, man?" And he looked at Herb Dean and he went, "Come on." And Herb Dean said, "I'm watching." They started the round. I think Volk hit him 3 times, and you could tell there's no fucking reason they should be fighting right now. And Herb Dean literally grabbed Volkanovski, pushed him away, and said, no. We're not doing this. That's, if you go back, the opening gift that I played while we rolled the intro music on today's show was the stoppage from last night's fight. You can see very clearly, even just in a 3-second fucking gif, Volkanovski lands like a 1-1-2, and Jung not only fucking eats it, but has no answer for it and is rocked backwards by a basic combo. And Herb Dean jumped in and fucking stopped it right away. Definite good fucking stoppage by Herb Dean. He was not going to let the zombie take fucking punishment. He could tell, just like everyone else who was fucking watching that fight was done and that the corner should have thrown the fucking towel in. But good job on Herb for stopping that. Good job on fucking Volkanovski for just coming in and fucking game planning his ass off. And he was just quicker, he was stronger, and he was more fucking precise than the zombie could even fucking contend with, and just absolutely shut him down in 3 fucking rounds, man. Hats off to Volk.
Yeah. Now, my only thing with knowing the thought process of corners, if somebody tried to say he's out of it, they need to get a doctor in, to stop the fight. He's tired. He's been fighting for 15 minutes. He's exhausted. Look at him. He's been beaten up. That would have been an instant. He's fine. He's tired. He's wore out from the corner. Because knowing what the fuck corners do, especially in that high of a fucking level.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been the instant fucking excuse for him not sitting on the chair or the stool and falling to the mat with his back against the cage. Because, good corners are supposed to take care of their fighter and throw in the towel whenever their fighter is fucked. Right. So,
which, to be fair, we saw a fight on BKFC Friday night where the dude got his ass handed to him, and in between rounds, the fucking corner threw the towel in and called the fucking fight on their fighter's behalf. And Galti and I were both watching it and fucking applauding, because that's the kind of shit that needs to be fucking normalized. There's no reason, if a person is clearly losing a fight they are not going to come back from, for them to take 5 or 10 more minutes of fucking brain bashing and literal fucking trauma. They don't need to.
No,
it's going to be a loss either way. Cut the fucking damage out. Let it be a loss without suffering fucking CTE for it.
I wouldn't even say just losing the fight. The second you get to is so rocked, but is that go out on your shield mentality, which is
for their own good. Yeah.
Without a question, without a shadow of the doubt, is the Korean Zombie, hence how he pretty much got his fucking nickname.
Literally, yeah.
Shit, we can look at fucking Lionheart Smith and say the same exact thing.
Great example. Yeah.
It's they're too tough and stubborn for their own good. They're not gonna throw in the towel, because this is what the fuck they do for a living. This is how they make money. This is how they pay bills.
It literally left his fucking teeth, and he handed his teeth to the fucking referee and didn't stop fighting.
Yeah.
That's great example.
That's them doing their job. This is what they signed up for. I quite literally have been finally talking to my brother again. Me and him have had are starting to talk a lot. And one of the very first things whenever we were talking about me fighting was take care of your body. This is what I do. I know recovery and everything's my biggest fucking thing. That's my biggest number one, is health and recovery. I'm not going to do that to myself. If I'm getting fucking savagely beaten, oh yeah, I'm done. If I cannot physically look at you and say I'm good, and know like, oh, I'm okay. I'm not good, but I'm okay. Right. Yeah, I'm throwing in the towel myself. Like, even in the pro-am leagues, they still fucking do it. There needs to be something done for corners that do shit like that, for like Lionheart Smith and like last night's performance from the corner of Cheng Sung Jung. there needs to be something done. There needs to be a fucking fine or something so corners can know, like, hey, you need to start taking more responsibility for the health of the person that you are training. Because
Absolutely.
it's a referee's job to make sure that a fighter doesn't take unnecessary damage and to call fights as they're supposed to, which is a hard fucking job. But it's also a corner's job to do pretty much the same fucking thing and take care of what is making them fucking money, which is that person's ability to fucking fight and talk with pre-fight press conferences, post-fight interviews, post-fight press conferences. That's what makes you money, is having people like that. That pays you a whole lot more money than Joe Schmo coming off the street and signing up and paying you $150 gym fee every month. This is your bread and butter. This pays you thousands for next to doing the same thing that you do for 150.
Right.
It's just fucking ridiculous. And that's so frustrating to me because there is things that can be done to prevent this.
Yep.
Put policies in place. Either like your corner is fucking gone, or y'all are, you as a camp and as a company, you're getting fucking fined because you're doing bullshit that is putting a person's life at risk.
But some kind of fucking fine on a corner that won't stop when a fucking when a referee has to stop a fight that should have been stopped by the corner like that. Implement some kind of fucking fine, a 10% fine on the fucking fight purse or something.
Yeah,
on the company.
Because you're, like we say for a referee, you're putting his life at risk of fucking brain damage, CTE, which everybody in the fighting industry knows what the fuck that is nowadays. And just the long-term nerve damages that shit can do, because yeah, CTE is one thing, but whenever people have CTE, that causes a lot of nerve problems, spine problems, to where they no longer have very good ability to use their fucking legs anymore. The later years of Muhammad Ali, if like scientifically speaking, with his body, if his brain wasn't so fucked, he could be able to walk around perfectly fucking fine.
Well, and Galti and I were talking about it last night as well. One thing that didn't get mentioned by anyone last night is that realistically, that might be the last time we see the zombie. Yeah. After everything he had to go through just to get this title shot, and then to get beaten that badly in that title shot, he's going to have to literally start completely over to earn himself another shot at the belt. And he just doesn't have that much time left in his career, I don't think. Not to mention the fact that, not to say that Volk's, untouchable by any sense of the imagination, but if Volk beat him that badly, that means that Max will likely beat him that badly, and that Yair could potentially beat him that badly, and that, the list can go on. You can run down the majority of the fucking top 10 in the fucking featherweight division. They're all very close in levels, realistically. And if Volk beat him that bad, that's going to drop him all the way down the list, because everybody else in the top 10, for the most part, is going to do the same fucking thing. And nobody's going to want to see that happen to Chan Sung Jung 3 more fucking times before they finally cut him, because he's too tough for his own good and he won't fucking stop. That might have literally been the fucking beating that ended the career of Chan Sung Jung.
Yeah.
If you look at it this way, there's a reason that I said that he got Ortega. The beating and the real fucked up part about it is that the reason we use that term isn't just because he got beat like that last time. It's because when Max fought Brian Ortega, he beat him every fucking bit as bad as Volkanovski did, if not maybe a little bit worse, because he didn't get no fucking choke attempt in on Max. That's for goddamn sure. And then we didn't see Ortega for 2 years. And then Volkanovski stepped up and did the exact same fucking thing to him again. And we haven't seen him since. We haven't heard from him since. He's a lot younger and a lot more resilient than Zombie is at this point. I don't know if Zombie has 2 years to take off and heal and get back to a place to start over again, like he would have to do.
I don't even think realistically he would take 2 years off because he's too tough for his own good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, that's one of those moments where it fucking sucks.
it does suck.
That's one of those moments because that man without a doubt in the future, whenever he retires, he is going to be the first Korean Hall of Famer in the UFC.
Absolutely, yeah.
There is no fucking doubt about that. He already has doesn't he already have a Hall of Fame fight? I believe.
I don't know. I feel like he does, but I don't remember for sure.
Yeah. Or I want to say it was mentioned. It was mentioned.
He'll be in there one way or another,
Yeah.
whether it's for a specific fight or he gets inducted into the fighters wing one way or another. Chang
He
Sung
will be a
Jung
Hall
will
of Famer.
be in the UFC Hall of Fame. It's unfucking deniable. If he doesn't, there just shouldn't be a fucking Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is absolutely going to be the first Korean UFC Hall of Famer in UFC history, without a shadow of the doubt. That's going to be a fucking thing. But for him
Hopefully
to be
for the fighters wing, since during this UFC we actually saw the induction of the first Korean fighter in the fight wing of Cub Swanson versus Doo-Ho Choi, the Korean.
I forgot about that.
Boy.
I forgot about that.
One of the best goddamn fights in a long fucking time, and I was very happy to see that fight got put into the fucking Hall of Fame wing after we saw the fucking Clay Guida versus Diego Sanchez fight. Cub Swanson versus Doo-Ho Choi is right the fuck up there with that, in my opinion. So I was very happy to see that getting inducted into the Hall of Fame last night. Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking saw that. I saw that whenever I woke up this morning and I completely fucking forgot that they inducted that last night.
Yeah, that was very fucking cool.
But the Korean Zombie, he's stuck between a whole bunch of fucking boulders and a fucked up spot, because that's not even a hard place. He's just fucked right now. That's a tough one. I want to say, yeah, there really isn't for him, at least for his health going forward.
Not for the position that he's in because of the situation now.
He is. He's in a hard spot.
I will say, as strange as it seems, especially after a fucking crazy night of fights like that, we did, ironically enough, get a traditional bonus set. We got 2 performance of the nights and then a fight of the night bonus. Performance of the night went to Alexei Oleinik. So the Dead Body Constrictor got his fucking scarf hold nomination. He got his 60th fucking victory, and he got the $50,000 fucking bonus for it, which is spectacular because the UFC rarely ever gives submissions a bonus. So that was nice as well. Alexander Volkanovski for stopping the fucking Zombie in undeniable fucking fashion. And then, as Dana White put it, if I have to tell you who got fight of the night, you weren't watching the fucking card. Gilbert Burns versus Khamzat Chimaev absolutely fucking earned every dollar of that fucking fight of the night bonus, in my opinion. That being said, though, that is all we have got for this particular episode here. We will be back Thursday for a full episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. We do have I believe we've got Bellator, UFC, and BKFC this coming up weekend, as well as ONE FC as well. We got all sorts of fights to talk about this coming weekend. So make sure you tune in Thursday night, 9:30 p.m.-ish Central Time over here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel, youtube.com/I'm No Joe. If you want to catch the I'm No Joe podcast in the all audio format, it comes out a week after we go live on Thursdays over on anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. You can pick it up in your podcast consumption platform of choice. Along the bottom, you've seen running along here, we have got a Discord server where we talk about fights while they're going on. News that doesn't make it to the show gets talked about on there. The fight announcements are all there, so you don't miss an episode. Fan Q&A is on there, all sorts of fun stuff. We have a Reddit subthread where you can feel free to pop in, talk shit, drop a gif, whatever you feel like doing. We also have the Tapology group that I mentioned earlier that I want to mention again. If you like picking fights or just want to give it a try, it's fun as shit. We have people in that group who literally don't know a damn thing about fights. They just love the game. So there's something for everybody in there. Tapology.com/group 965 or pick 'em groups on Tapology. I'm No Bookie, all one word.
Another thing, I was talking to my brother and he said something to me today that had me like idea, and I just fucking remembered it because I looked at my phone. Could we do some way, somehow? I don't know, like maybe through me start like a breakdown format to where we can go through different styles of fighting and potentially, like, I don't know, like at my gym perhaps do like small snippets, like 5 or 6 minute longs, breaking down different fighting styles, like boxing. This is what you're looking at, because my brother told me that I have no clue what the fuck you're talking about, but you get a view regardless. So, which thank you for the view, of course,
Right.
in the watch time. But like, is that something that I could do and then like just post it onto the I'm No Joe YouTube channel?
We might be able to do some, or have you upload them to the Reddit thread, and then I can pull them down and use them as intro bits or something, upload them into the segments. Yeah, we can do something like that for sure.
All right. Because
Yeah,
if
for sure.
If he said that, and I don't know what level combatives he is for the army anymore, but if he said that and he's got like, I don't know, 10 years in the military and doing combatives training, and he still doesn't remember or know what the fuck we're talking about, other people might not know what the fuck we're talking about either. And I think that'd be fun.
That, and we also have another guy that we know that actually was a combatives instructor for a while.
Yeah, TJ
in the military that might be able to help with some of that as well. So yeah, that definitely might be something we could look into for sure. That being said, though, all the links for all of our socials, all of our individual socials, all the show's socials and everything are all down in the description as well. Most importantly, if you like what we do around here, watch a couple more videos. That's what YouTube likes. We got plenty of them up. We have 4 years in the archive, and we have not missed a single major MMA event in those 4 years. If you like what we do, make sure you've got the subscriptions turned on, the little bells notified and turned on, thumbs ups and all that goodness. If you don't like what we do, first off, why the fuck are you still here this deep into a podcast you don't like? Give us a thumbs down and fuck on off. We won't even dispute it. That being said, that's all we've got for this particular episode. We will catch you all again on Thursday for the full I'm No Joe podcast. But until then, that's all we've got for this one. So until next time, folks, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what sun.